If you're looking for Magic cards, look no further than Flipside Gaming. They have all the latest Magic singles and product that you need to actually leave the house and battle in Magic the Gathering. And right now, if you would like to save 10% on your orders from Flipside Gaming, use the promo code CGB at checkout. That is promo code CGB. Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB. Today we're continuing that color challenge with the last of our two color guilds, Golgari. There won't be a lot of surprises here. This has been one of the strongest decks. You've played against it. You've probably played with it. This is the version that I like when I play best of one. It has game against almost everything. It is weak against almost nothing. But it can lose to almost anything with an awkward draw, and it can beat almost anything with the right draw. It is a very fun deck to play if you're into sort of the long games and puzzle piecing things together and not knowing exactly what your battle plan is at the start of every game. Yes, some games it is Wildgrowth Walker, Jadelight Ranger, win, but most games you have to figure out your role, and that's what I find very fun about it. I do run 24 lands and 3 Memorial to Follies instead of 3 Carnage Tyrants, which is probably the only controversial thing in my whole list. You might also want some Assassin's Trophy instead of Cast Down for best of one, but I found Cast Down good enough. Anyway, the idea is I never want to miss my land drops, and I can try to use Memorial to Folly to turn into a Carnage Tyrant as long as I'm able to draw one over the course of the game. Now, it's announcement time again. It's very important that I get the word out. Flipside Gaming is providing a Ravnica Allegiance Booster Box giveaway for somebody who watches this channel. In order to enter the giveaway, you have to make a purchase of $10 or more from Flipside Gaming using the promo code CGB. You'll get 10% off that order, and you'll get entered into the drawing. You must make that purchase before January 28th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get entered for that drawing. So make sure you head over to Flipside Gaming, pick out something nice, maybe some new Ravnica Allegiance cards, and use the promo code CGB at checkout. If you click the link in my description to Flipside Gaming, that promo code should automatically populate when you check out. One less thing to remember. Second big announcement, I've been invited to the Wizards invite-only Ravnica Allegiance release event. It is a streaming event on Twitch on Wednesday, one day before Allegiance lands in MTG Arena. And myself and several other streamers and some of the MPL players, some of the best Magic players in the world, will be competing that day. So come out and support your boy CGB. If you are a Patreon supporter of $5 or more, or a Twitch Prime subscriber, or a Twitch subscriber, you can put in a deck in my Discord channel that you want me to play. Since I'll have access to a stocked account with pretty much all of the rares and mythics unlocked, I'll be able to play anything you want me to. So if you want to know if that janky ooze build is something you should spend your wildcards on, you can take the route of using that Twitch Prime sub that's totally free, or that $5 Patreon support or $5 Twitch subscription, and you can tell me to play it, and we'll see if it does any good. If you have more questions about that, hit up the comments. I'll try to respond, but definitely go to my Discord. There's a link in the description. Go to the Discord and hit me up there, and I will definitely respond, much more likely than comments. All right, thanks for listening to my announcements. Let's go do some Golgari battle. On the draw, this hand is very lukewarm with 4 lands. Merfolk Branchwalker, Vivien Reid. I'm going to try it. There's not a lot you can say that's very wrong with it. It doesn't have a removal spell. It could get run over pretty viciously. So let's find out where it goes. What is going on today? I am having me a flood. Good old-fashioned flood. Always land off the top if you keep a 4 or 5 lander, right? That's the way that bias works. You only remember it when it goes not your way. And right away we have a Tormenting Voice discarding an Arclight Phoenix. So the opponent is rolling exactly the way they wish to. I'm going to lead with the Merfolk Branchwalker instead of Seekers Squire for that extra point of power. And yes, I will keep a Wildgrowth Walker, thank you. That with a Seekers Squire could be good. Our opponent has an Electromancer. All right. Let's offer up a Branchy trade. I doubt that will work out. And we'll put down another land and a Wildgrowth Walker. Radical idea. All right. And a lightning strike for the Walker. Great. Everything's going so well. A shock for the Branchwalker. Back comes a Phoenix. Here comes the pain. Yeah, it's that kind of day, my friends. All right. Fine. We will find. We'll get the team back together. Redeploy the Walker. Opponent will drop off a land for another radical idea. We'll see if they dig up another removal spell. The Crackling Drake is a big hitter. There's no question about that. I will block your Electromancer. I have to preserve my life total somehow. Yay, it's shock. Alright, another Walker off the top, but I think first I have to Vivien Reid away this Crackling Drake. Don't think I have a choice there.
Beasts are much more. Get that out of here.
Unfortunately, Vivien has to die, but there's no other good way to manage that situation, I would say.
Oh, so it's going. I've seen squirrels hit harder.
Our opponent with a 1-mana chart, of course. What a sweet card. All right. Let's see if we can start this party over again. Library that. And one more for the road. Putting it all back together. Trying to come back from a nasty spot with the help of Mega Wildgrowth Walker. That's the strategy now. Our opponent with double bird. They're going to keep beating down, I'm sure. No, they're going to hold back. Interesting. Well, Jadelight. Library and library. Suddenly everything's coming up CGB, just like that. All right. Well, let's see what they got for this. I'm going to be very aggressive. If they want to gang up on the Walker, that's fine, because then they won't have resources to fight the Tyrant. All right. I'm definitely going to make sure I took out the Electromancer. I don't care that I take out all the birds. They'll probably come back at some point anyway. And now our opponent's at 12. But we're going to make them fight us off now, since we're up 21-12. I mean, of course, have to deal with them before they can find another Drake. Okay. They're trying to turn around and be aggressive. I don't know how that works. Seems habitual, not strategic. Going to 7 when I'm about to drop a Carnage Tyrant. What is your strategy? Like, how will you ever attack again? And that's the game. Of course, you know, the Drake deck, it often switches to a racing mode. I'm not saying they were wrong. Maybe their hand only allowed them to do those things. I guess it's my observation that we're in a very good position the longer that plays out that way. What a comeback. That was a good one. This is an interesting hand to look at. 2 forests, a Branchwalker, a Jadelight Ranger, some cards that cost 1 black, and a card that costs double black and is your removal spell. I'm going to try it. You can get away with a lot of things in Golgari with that Explore, but in the end, there still has to be a black source near the top of the deck, and this could go badly. Risky keeps, though, are part of the business. Part of what makes Magic magic. Regardless, we'll probably have some plays. Never finding another land again would be a bit of a train wreck. Alright, game on. Let's see what the Cake Thief brought to the party. A mountain, of course. It's always mono red. If you keep a hand that's sketchy on mana, mono red knows. Their ears perk up. They come flying out of the woodwork to just devour you. I have to graveyard anything that's not a land from this position. There's really no other option. And the opponent says go. Well, I can play Llanowar Elves. which will likely get bolted. I think I'm better off trying to dig with the Merfolk Branchwalker. We might still be able to play the elves if we hit the right land. That's not what I would call the right land. I'm going to play it tapped. I'm not going to play the Llanowar Elves. It simply gets, in my opinion, it just gets closer and closer to Chain Whirler range. Now, how aggressive do you be? How aggressive can we be? Our hand is all creatures. Like, it's just all meat. With no Wildgrowth Walker. So usually the longer the game goes, the better we do. But honestly, when I look at this hand, the longer the game goes, the more trouble I'm in because of Experimental Frenzy. I have no answer. And I have no, like, late game punch. I may really regret an attack here, though, if the opponent goes Chain Whirler. I guess it only gets in 1 damage. And they would attack anyway if the opponent played a Chain Whirler, because the Lava Runner would then trade for the 3/2 Branchwalker. War Boss. Is that something that would... Should I feel bad about that? That's not good. Well, I just want to get something out of this Branchwalker as soon as possible, so I am going to trade it away, since it likely just dies to Chain Whirler at some point anyhow. Okay, from here I definitely need to explore. I'm trying to decide if Seekers Squire and Llanowar Elves is better. Just have 2 creatures. But I need to find black as soon as possible, so I'm going to go with Jadelight Ranger and dig for it. Let's graveyard that. And graveyard that. Yeah, we need to dig pretty far. This point we're going to hold back because some removal backing up the War Boss is so much damage. And the board can just get away from us very quickly. Banefire for 3. Alright. And now everybody wants in there, and the War Boss powers up the Lava Runner. I'll block down the War Boss just to get it gone, since otherwise the opponent will just keep snowballing these creatures every turn. Alright, let's go for a Seekers Squire for more toughness, I think. Although Midnight Reaper could trade with the Lava Runner and draw a card. We can either go with Llanowar Elf and Squire, or we can go with Midnight Reaper. I'm actually going to go with Midnight Reaper here. Just trading it for 1 card is better than having too many creatures out, then being forced into playing it. More War Bosses. Opponent's really into their War Boss spot. It's working out for them very well, I would add. But there is a Wildgrowth Walker, and that can turn the tide quite a bit. But first, I feel a need to deal with that War Boss. Is that the right play? Or is Wildgrowth Walker the right play? Wildgrowth Walker Explore. Having a 2/4 right away, the opponent will likely attack next turn with the War Boss. Let's see, they pump here, they pump here. They have 1 more creature, so 2 1/1s. I could eat the 1/1s, or I can block the War Boss. It's a really tough spot. I do think I need to get the Walker down, though, and get the life going. And there's always a chance I hit a forest and can play an elf as well, which gives us access to Finality next turn. Ooh. It's not a land, though, and I already have one, but the opponent doesn't quite know that. I think I have to graveyard you. As weird as it is. So what happens now, Legion War Boss? Everybody. Everybody always. Always and always. Alright. Alright, well, you are definitely blocking you. And you, I can play around Shock, so that if my opponent has a Lightning Strike, it has to be the Lightning Strike. So let's see what happens. Alright. It is what it is. But we get to keep our Seekers Squire, and we got the War Boss off the field. This makes Chupacabra a pretty great play. We still are short on mana, and we're still behind on board. And we're still in huge trouble to an Experimental Frenzy. I mean, everybody. All right. I will definitely make these blocks. I don't know why the opponent would be so... Oh, Sure Strike. Okay. Not what I expected. Alright, now we've greatly reduced our opponent's mana base, or creature base, down to a one-on-one. So now's the time where we want to go back into the graveyard, get the Wildgrowth Walker and the Jadelight Ranger for next turn. And we can also play out this Elf and this Memorial to Folly. I did tap wrong. I should have tapped the other Memorial to Folly for black for the find side, so I could have played the other Llanowar Elf. And our opponent's getting a little bit floody here. We survived their aggression. Now I think we can seal this away, but what's better? I think the Carnage Tyrant is better considering our opponent's life total. First, let's send the Chupacabra. Yeah, I think that Carnage Tyrant puts the better clock down, and then we can always come back with Wildgrowth Jadelight Ranger, because our opponent can't top deck something to do 8 yet. They can do 7 with a Banefire, but not 8. And we do see that there's a Banefire in the graveyard. I mean, I'm blocking. What nonsense is this? I suppose they had a spell that they wanted to use there, and it's Carnage Tyrant. So our opponent may have something to kill off the Wildgrowth Walker. Still, I think we put it to the test. The sooner it dies, the sooner we can get it back. Nope, that resolved. Easy peasy. Back to 14. Feels good. Alright, send in the monsters. And let's drop out in Llanowar Elf as well. And now it would take quite the miracle. It would be a story. Here comes Rekindling Phoenix. There's the Banefire. Our opponent did have the Banefire. They throw just some shade, a little bit of salt at us. As we draw Vraska's Contempt even. Our opponent flooded out, and we're lucky they did. They definitely had us on the ropes in the mid-game there. Those Legion War bosses were a challenge. Well, this hand has a Sword of Removal in Chupa and a few Dorks and an Elf. It's hard to say no to a turn 1 Elf. Let's see how it goes. We are on the draw. Could be a problem. We might just be too far behind for an Elf to be good, and as soon as we see a Fanatical Firebrand, it's not worth paying 2 damage. We're paying 2 life to play that Elf. So tap land, go, and here comes the Red Mage. Just the beating I'm used to. All right, turn 2. Because of a Fanatical Firebrand and the potential that it can just reach out and kill the Walker, I'm going to go with the Seekers Squire. And we hit another land. Not what you're looking for. Pyromancer. Pumping up the Steamkin. Doing 2 to the face. Yep, this is going to be a lot of damage really fast, and we're just so far behind it. On the bright side, I don't see a Chain Whirler. Now, I could block this just to absorb 3 damage, but I think I'd rather save it for a future where I might be able to absorb 4 damage. Alright, we could play the Jadelight Ranger, or we could play Branchwalker and Llanowar Elves. Just to have 2 creatures down, and I think I like that better. I think we just want as many bodies as we can get to. Yeah, more Chupas is probably what we need. And no attacks. Let's try to make some awkward attacking and blocking happen. Yeah, Chain Whirler was always a concern. But at least I get to keep some of my other boys and girls. Fanatical Firebrand, of course, can take it down Branchy. And it will. Good trades all around. Is there even a shock for my Seekers Squire? You can tell the opponent touching their hand. They feel like they know what they need to do. And that's going to leave a nasty mark. There's just nothing else to say. Too slow on the draw against red. What else is there? When they have Runaway Steamkin on the play on 2 and you can't kill it, and they have 4 lands and get to dump their hand, it just doesn't feel like you played Magic. Not really. So what's our hope? Wildgrowth Walker? No. We can't actually get either of these into play untapped. We're on the draw, which is horrible, but we have Llanowar Elves and some Explore creatures, which is all kind of a mystery. I mean, really, this hand could be 7 mana producers and nothing to do with it, but that's the beauty of Explore. Maybe you'll hit it, maybe you won't. Let's go see what happens. Opponent's going in with the Lava Runner. Won't slow me down from throwing an elf out there. If it has to die, it has to die. And Black-Red. That's a different look. Looks like our opponent's the manual tapping sort. Sovereign's Bite going straight to face. Okay. Looks like it's one of those burn decks. It does make Chain Whirler much less likely. Let's go straight to the mighty Jadelight Ranger to get in the way of this Lava Runner, and I will keep this all day as a way to just get back more threats and keep the board gummy. Opponent very likely should kill the Jadelight Ranger. It can provide a pretty reasonable clock. But instead the opponent's going with Sword Point Diplomacy. Well, alright. I decline. So when to decline? Really, I just want my opponent to have to cast their spells. The longer that takes, the better. So I could take the action or decline. They can have a shock, you know? They can have a Pyro, and yes, they can have an Evolving Wilds. So they had a nice little value turn, getting to draw 3. Now let's show them what's up. I'm going to come at you with this Jadelight Ranger. Slam bam. I'm going to chup away your Lava Runner. I think that's the play because I don't think the opponent gets much better than Lava Runner. Their creatures are all very tiny little wizard nonsensies. This is definitely a game too where finding Wildgrowth Walker is a big part of the strategy. And you'd love to have an Explorer creature to play with it, so just kind of holding off on even searching for it. We also need to clock our opponent. A lot. Fiery Cannonade. Okay. And then Evolving Wild, so the shock does not finish off the Ranger. Most of our plan here just revolves around hitting the opponent with the Ranger until they die. And that way they can't afford to go face with all their burn or draw cards with all their risk factors if they're just taking 4 every turn and they get their life total in danger. And we'll play out another Llanowar Elf and another Branchwalker. Looking for you, Wildgrowth Walker. They have a Viashino. But I could also graveyard this and get a fresh draw and use Find to get these back. Still, I have a feeling they're going to play the Viashino. And this is a really good play next turn so that I can keep the pressure up. So I'm going to keep the card. And let's get the beat down going. We don't want our opponent to be able to go face. That's the key. If you can force them to use the spells on the creatures, great. We can find them back and do that all over again. Well, Wizard's Lightning is going face regardless. Sovereign's Bite's going face, making that life gain work for it. Chupa-dupa. So there are 2 creatures in the graveyard. I could find those now, so that I have another Chupa to play next turn, but I'll have enough mana next turn to find and play Chupa. I think I'd rather do the damage. Let's see, 8 and then 10. Yeah, it's a 2-turn clocks if we do the damage. So, yeah, this will force the opponent to kill us this turn, which from 8 is difficult, or start defending themselves. Let them have the cards or take the damage. At this point, they could have shock shock. We know one card is a shock, so I'm going to decline. Take your cards. But they can't afford to risk factor me again from here. They play a Lava Runner. All right. There's a shock. Not leaving the option open. I don't know if that will bite them or not, but just noting. Yeah, let's use Find. Did our opponent know about that Find? I thought they did. Anyway, Chupa again. Bring them to the edge of despair. The real question will be whether or not to let this risk factor hit me. Oh, it's a fresh one. Does that change anything? What would they need exactly? Shock. Well, shock and any other burn would do it. We know that they use one shock. They can have the cards. It's pretty gutsy at this point to take the damage, I would say. And again, if they're shooting our creatures, they're not shooting us. We can keep playing creatures. We have the ability. All right, they found another cannonade, but they're still dead. Unless they have land and one more thing. They have land, they do not have one more thing. And that will do it. In a nail biter. We're on the play. We've got Dorks. We've got Chupa. We've got Tyrant. We got Explorer. I will roll with that. Let's go. Will it be more red? Red just everywhere. You get in the top 300 and everybody smashes their red decks into each other. Well, this is really good against red aggro. It's really bad. Again, it's good against Drakes. It's bad against Jeskai. Our opponent could be Jeskai, although the basic mountain is almost never Jeskai. I'm going to try this Chupa. If we can prevent lots of creature damage and spam Chupas on the red deck, that's usually a solid way to be. The opponent didn't kill my Branchwalker, and here's the Steamkin. So, let's see, do we hold back or do we stay aggressive? Let's play our Jadelight Ranger, get an idea of what's coming. The Wildgrowth Walker is coming. It's a great card to have. But at this point, I don't have another Explore creature, and I could graveyard it and wait till I have a Find Finality, since these Explore creatures would likely to go to the graveyard anyway. I like that. I'll just plan to get it back later. The opponent will probably Lightning Strike and walk through our creatures, but I think if we get the clock ticking, that will make our Carnage Tyrant better. So I'm going to be aggressive. Here's a Lightning Strike for Jadelight, and probably an attack with the Steamkin. Okay, the opponent saved the shock to double buff the Steamkin. Makes me very happy I attacked with the Branchwalker, because I wasn't going to get a block with it, that's for sure. And now the opponent knows the Chupa's coming. Rawr. And I'm curious to see how the board develops from here. Vaishina Pyromancer. Okay. Interesting. Our opponent could still have an experimental frenzy, which having a Vivien Reid up my sleeve would be good for. I'm going to attack with the Chupa. I think that our opponent doesn't have many creatures, or we would have seen more creatures. The opponent's pointing burn at the Chupa. Okay. Well, that's a sign, in my opinion, of a pretty weak position, especially with what our hand has going on. Our hand is probably more powerful than anything they can do when you consider that Vivien Reid can kill Experimental Frenzy. So from here, I'm perfectly fine just trading off everywhere I can and slamming something they can't deal with. In Carnage Tyrant, coming this way. That last card might be an Experimental Frenzy, considering the way the opponent is playing the game. And this came off the top, where they would have played it last turn. So, here's the Tyrant. That is a big wall. So, I'm guessing we'll see the Experimental Frenzy if they have it, and it doesn't appear that they do. Well, They might just be planning to launch one more lightning bolt at my face first before they play it. Like if they drew a bolt, that would explain the play. So I'm going to play this Jadelight Ranger and see if the opponent wants to shock it or do anything to it before the Explore triggers resolve. See what I have left on the battlefield before deciding whether or not this Tyrant attacks. Land and another Explore creature. And it's not bad. Just kind of keeps me going through the deck. Alright. I'm going to send the Tyrant. I think I can finish this game before they can burn me out, even if their hand is Bolt. I think I can get there. Here's a Bolt. Last card still sitting there, and it's Rekindling Phoenix coming to the battlefield. Alright, down to 11. I can put my opponent on 3 with Carnage Tyrant. I can play Vivien and minus it to kill the Rekindling Phoenix so it can't block and absorb some damage. That Rekindling Phoenix is terribly effective, but it still needs 2 turns to win, whereas Carnage Tyrant can win in 1. First, I'll look at my top card with Merfolk Branchwalker, but my plan is to play Vivien, minus it. That's fine. It doesn't solve the Rekindling Phoenix, though, so maybe I should bin this. I mean, 2 more Scries aren't going to matter, unless I untap with Vivien, which I probably won't. Alright. So my plan is to play Vivien Reid, minus it to take Rekindling Phoenix down to an 0-1 so it can't absorb any damage from the Carnage Tyrant.
Can't help you now.
That way Carney gets in for 7, and that means the opponent has to put at least 4 toughness in front of it next turn, as well as deal with the Branchwalker and potentially get Vivien Reid off the battlefield. That's a very big ask. They don't have to get Vivien Reid off the battlefield, actually. It's a bit of a smoke and mirrors, and they might be best off ignoring it at this point, since all it will be next turn is draw another card. Okay, there's Lava Coil. And they do pass the turn. What a draw. Well, before we play that, we have to plus this Vivien. We hit the Wildgrowth Walker, which is sweet with an Explorer creature. And we might draw one, so I'll take it. But then we're playing other Vivien. We'll minus that, we'll target the Phoenix again.
This is nothing.
It should not, they cannot stand up to the Tyrant now. And that it will be the game. Those 3 points from attacking with the Merfolk Branchwalker back on turn 2 really came back. Or turn 3, I suppose. Really came back. I hope that you enjoyed these games with 7-win Golgari. Again, not too special, but when we look back on Guilds of Ravnica Standard, we'll probably say that Golgari was one of the key decks of that format, and several people will enjoy thinking of that deck as it brought them great success in the format. Once again, a reminder about the booster box giveaway from flipsidegaming.com. Check the description of the video for more details, but in a nutshell, use the promo code CGB at Flipside Gaming and you might win a booster box. See the description for details. And please come out on January 16th to my Twitch channel to see Ravnica Allegiance a day early in a huge streamer event. I need hands on deck, I need support, I need love, because I'm going to be playing against some of the biggest streamers and best Magic players in the world. So come out and cheer on your boy CGB in battle. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. My YouTube channel is proudly supported by HauntedFlower.com, shipping officially licensed apparel anywhere in the world, and now featuring Magic the Gathering apparel and accessories. If you use the promo code CGB at your checkout, you can save 10% on any order. That's the promo code CGB at checkout on HauntedFlower.com. That's HauntedFlower.com.